In this video, I tried beating Terraria using launchers only. These consist of grenades and rockets, but since there are absolutely no pre-hard mode launchers, I installed a mod that adds a whole bunch of them, including hard mode. Just how good are these weapons, and will they be strong enough to take down the final boss Moonlord? Stay tuned to find out. Spawning into the world, I began chopping trees down for wood, and once I had enough, I explored the right side of the world, finding the aglet and Hermes boots. Mined a bunch of ores, and enough emeralds for the emerald hook. Found life crystals, and afterwards teleported back up to build a storage area to store some of my items away. I crafted a platinum pickaxe, emerald hook, and then built some NPC houses to allow them to start spawning. Specifically for the demolitionist to spawn, since he was the one to sell me my first weapon. I crafted some tungsten armor for a bit of defense, and then went to explore the jungle as there were plenty of accessories and life crystals to be found in there. I grabbed myself the magic mirror, along with the suspicious looking eye, gravitation potions, cloud in a bottle, and I was going to continue on exploring, however, the demolitionist finally arrived. So I teleported back and spoke to him to see that he was selling the bloop tube. It costed 15 gold, which I didn't have enough for, so I sold some things to be able to purchase it, along with a bunch of grenades. The bloop tube had 43 range damage, 4% critical strike chance, snail speed. Seeing this, I just knew how slow the attacks were going to be, and with average knockback. The attacks were indeed very slow, and the grenades would explode after a delay unless it made contact with an NPC. I made the platinum chainmail and then prepared to fight the Eye of Cthulhu, so I built a platform and waited until nighttime to summon it. But right when I was about to, I got the message, "You feel an evil presence watching you," so I didn't have to use the suspicious looking eye. Once the boss spawned, I really had to make sure I didn't shoot when the servant and boss were near me, as this would inflict damage on myself due to the grenade's explosion. When it hit second phase, that's when landing hits started to get really hard because of the slow attack speed and the fact that it doesn't shoot in a straight line, but in the end, I was able to defeat it. Ooh, I have to be careful not to hurt myself. Almost done here. It's getting kind of hard to hit. There we go. The next weapon I was going to make was the bamboo shoot, which requires 15 bamboo, 8 jungle spores, and 4 stingers. So I went back to the jungle, found a lot of life crystals that got me to 360 health, and farmed the materials for the weapon. This weapon had 27 damage with very slow speed, which was still faster than snail speed, and fires bamboos rather than grenades. Instead of the projectiles having a drop-off when it reaches a certain distance, the bamboo projectile traveled in a straight line, which was far easier to land hits. I also turned regular grenades into thorn grenades, which had higher damage, can burst into exploding spikes, and poisons enemies. These grenades were especially good on the Brain of Cthulhu, which was the boss I fought next. I went to the Crimson, built an arena, and broke the Crimson Hearts to summon it. The AoE on the Thorn Grenades were really good at killing the creepers since they were clumped up together, so reaching second phase was quick. But as the health dropped for the boss, the harder it became to differentiate which was real, so I had to move my cursor on all of the clones until it showed the boss's name, to know that it was the real one. Okay, second phase. Okay, heal up. And you're done. After defeating the brain, I made the capillary launcher using crimtane bars and tissue samples, the Deathbringer pickaxe, and a full set of crimson armor. The capillary launcher had 43 damage, 16% critical strike chance, and had snail attack speed. I was expecting some kind of effect like inflicting bleed or lifesteal, but it was just like any other regular launcher. I was set to take on Skeletron, so I built an arena at the dungeon, but seeing that it was about to turn to day, I figured I'd do something else while I wait for the next night. I went up to some sky islands, finding the lucky horseshoe, red shiny balloon, and then found the remaining life crystals to max out my health. Afterwards, I went back to the dungeon, talked to the old man to summon Skeletron. The hardest part of this fight was landing hits on its hands since they were constantly moving everywhere. But once they were destroyed, landing hits on the head was very easy. And that's 2. Just the easy part. And Skeletron has been defeated. Once Skeletron was defeated, I made my way into the dungeon and found out that I could craft another weapon called the Skull Cannon using bones and platinum bars. So I farmed enough bones, found the Cobalt Shield, Shadow Key, and then went back home to craft the weapon. It had 67 damage and transforms grenades into exploding skulls. Just like the bamboo shoot, the projectiles also traveled in a straight line. It also seemed that the explosion radius was bigger too, which meant I could hit more enemies in one go. I had just crafted a new launcher, but it was time to get another, but this time, it'll be dropped by the Queen Bee. So I headed back into the jungle, laid out some platforms, and then summoned it. Just like the fight against the Eye of Cthulhu, I had to be careful of the smaller bees that spawned. It was even more dangerous now, since my weapon dealt more damage, which could be dealt to me if I attacked when they were too close. Heal up. Yeah, the tiny bees are making my rockets hurt myself. And we're done. After killing the Queen Bee and opening the treasure bag, I luckily received the Hive Blaster on the first try. It had 42 damage, very fast attack speed, which was a first, and fires a burst of hive rockets that spawns many bees that home in onto enemies. This weapon shot out in a burst of 2 projectiles, which was very unique. It was almost time to take on the Wall of Flesh, so I mined down to hell, opened a shadow chest, and got the Shadow Shot, which had a crazy 82 damage that inflict Shadow Flame on enemies. Once I collected enough Hellstone, I made the Molten Pickaxe, and then farmed Goblin Scouts for Tattered Cloth to manually summon the Goblin Army. After defeating the army, I was able to find the Tinkerer, so I bought Rocket Boots, the Workshop, and combined my accessories together to make the Blue Horseshoe Balloon, Spectre Boots, Obsidian Shield, and then took care of the Goblin Army again, since they spawned as I was searching for the Tinkerer. It was finally time to take on the Wall of Flesh, so I went down to hell, all the way to the right side, and threw in the Voodoo Doll to summon the boss. I started off with the Hive Blaster, as I thought the bees would be able to get behind the Hungries and attack the actual boss, and I was right, but then I decided to switch to the Shadow Shot to see if that was any better, but because the projectiles don't go in a straight line and the attack speed was a lot slower, it was difficult to get my attacks through, so I switched back to the Hive Blaster. After defeating the wall and entering hard mode, the Demolitionist now sold the Quad Blitzer. This had 46 damage, very slow speed, no knockback, which was surprising, and quickly fires bursts of 4 rockets. This pretty much made up for the slow attack speed. I then went to the Crimson, broke Crimson Altars to spawn in the hard mode ores. After mining them, I crafted titanium armor, and with the leftover bars, I used them to make the titanium launcher. This thing had 134 damage, but that's really all it had, no special effects. Before I took on the mechanical bosses, I wanted a pair of wings, so I went up to a sky island, farmed wyverns for souls of flight to craft demon wings. That wasn't the only thing I could craft with souls of flight, because I could make the orbital striker as well. 167 damage that fires slow rockets that followed my cursor. The projectiles were able to linger for a while, making it possible to stack them up, which gave me the grand idea to nuke the destroyer. I also made some Ichor grenades to be able to deal a bit more damage, and crafted the endless grenade belt using 3,996 grenades. Once nighttime arrived, I summoned the destroyer. As for my plan of nuking it, it didn't really get nuked. It took a lot more shots than expected, but regardless, I still considered it fast. After defeating the destroyer, I summoned the twins. Nothing special went on during this fight, I just used the titanium launcher for the entire duration. Second phase. Okay, Spasm done for. Second phase. Two more shots. After the twins, I used hollowed bars and souls of sight to make the Heat Seeker, which had 131 damage, and as the name says, it had homing rockets. I waited until the next night to summon Skeletron Prime and use the Heat Seeker against it. I realized that equipping the Ichor grenades made it so that the rockets loses its homing abilities, which actually made it perfect for this boss. If I used regular grenades, the projectiles would have homed in onto the arms of the boss. After all three mech bosses were defeated, I crafted the pickaxe axe, full hollowed armor, and some jumbo grenades. These had 65 damage, and the description that said stay clear from the blast zone, which meant I had to make sure I was a good distance away from attacking enemies. When I tested it out, I could see why it had that description. Next up was Plantera, so I went to the jungle, but after killing some giant tortoise, one of them dropped the Shellback Thumper. 157 damage that encapsulates grenades in turtle shells. When the projectiles made contact with an enemy, it exploded into many poison clouds that also dealt damage. I found the Plantera bulb soon after, so I cleared an area for the arena, and after it was complete, I broke the bulb to summon the boss. With all the vines that spread outwards from Plantera, I really had to be careful, especially now with the new ammo. If I hit myself even once, that's pretty much 50% of my health gone. Second phase. Now came Golem. I built a single platform and shot at it from above. The new ammo made it possible to hit multiple parts of the boss at the same time. Both hands are down. After Golem was defeated, the cyborg arrived. I bought the proximity mine launcher along with some rockets. This was going to be my endgame weapon to use against Moonlord. The attack speed was just out of this world compared to the other weapons. The damage wasn't as high as the rest, but still pretty decent. I went to the dungeon afterwards to summon the lunatic cultist. Once he was brought down, I purchased Rocket 3s, a much higher damage ammunition, and used it to bring down the 4 pillars. And there goes the solar pillar. Finally, it was time to face off against Moonlord. Alright, that's it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below if you have any other mod or video ideas you want me to try out, and of course subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!